Today I want to introduce you to my latest project called Pocket Dungeon. It's the small box right here. Pocket Dungeon is a 3D printed dungeon crawling board game that combines the strategy of a turn-based RPG with the excitement of exploring a dungeon. I have always been a fan of turn-based RPGs, and I was also interested in using 3D printing technology to create small unique game pieces that I can carry around. As you can see, the size here is pretty small, and yeah, it all fits in a nice little box here with a Pocket Dungeon as a title at the front. To play Pocket Dungeon, you will need the box. This is the box right here. It has the title Pocket Dungeon at the front, a hinge, and also a slider to track your hero's HP and speed, and also two holes here for inventory slot. I also put numbers and an alphabet on top in case we need to define a coordinate of an object on a dungeon. The box here is printed in place, so you don't need to print it in different parts. You just need to print it like this, and then make sure that your initial layer flow and your extrusion flow is checked before printing to make sure that the print in place slider will work. So yeah, this is the box right here, pretty small. Fits in your palm. The next thing we need to play Pocket Dungeon is this board right here. It's a 8 by 12 board. 8 by 12 tiles board with holes on each tiles. Obviously, you can print this in different color to create a different look and feel of your dungeon. And to install it, you just need to put it in the middle, press it lightly, and there you go. You have the board inside the box. The next important things to play is, of course, the game pieces. We have the hero pieces right here. And his sword. This is a hero piece again. It has a small horn. I'm about to call him an Oni Slayer, wielding a huge giant sword. Why the hero and the sword is separated, we're gonna find out about it soon. Another game piece that we need is the item pieces. There are 3 of these right here. Each has different effects that will apply if the heroes retrieve it and use it. And then the other pieces that we need is the hero pieces right here. I printed 3. Looks like an evil blob or Gengar maybe. I also painted in purple to make it look more menacing. The other pieces are the gates or the doors. This one is for the monster portal, I call it, and this is the entrance gate to the dungeon. And the last pieces that we need to build the dungeon is obviously the walls. There are 3 different type of walls here. I have the 1 by 2 that looks like this, and then the L-shaped walls that looks like this, and the 1 by 1 walls that looks like this. By the way, each pieces here has a dowel at the bottom that fits snugly to to your dungeon board. So all you need to do is just like put it like this, and then it should fit snugly. Right. Oh, sorry, last but not least, also the dice. I'm using a D4 dice here, printed in one color, and I just painted the holes just to make the numbers a bit more presence. I printed the dice with 20% infill. I throw it a couple times also. I noticed in the play testing it's quite random, but leave in the comment below if you guys have more experiences about 3D printed dices, if it's something really suitable to play or not. But for me, it works fine for now. And last but not least, I also created this simple rulebook. I call the game Pocket Dungeon Rush, with a nice pixel art illustration that I've done myself. It has our hero there with his sword, 3FL blob, and some evil boss monster at the background. I'm quite inspired by a retro game cover art. I'm pretty happy with how it turns out. Here there is also, I write a bit of lore, just like to serve as a background story of the game. I myself not a good writer, but I think I've been running this through a couple of friends, and I think it's good enough, and it should serve as a good story to start the game. It's a pretty thin rulebook, 4-page max, and here, yeah, it will tell you what's the game about, how to win as a dungeon master, and how to win as the heroes, what you need to play this game, what I just went through with you, the items list with the names and its effects, its health potion, water flask, and radiant droplet, with each corresponding shape, so you guys know which one is which. And obviously how to set up the game for the dungeon masters, and finally how to play the game. So yeah, I also included this in the PDF if when you guys downloaded it. Alright, now I'm gonna share with you guys how to set up the game. First, the dungeon master places all the wall pieces right here onto the board. And the only restriction here is the wall pieces can only take up maximum 25% of the entire board. What it means is like you cannot cram as much wall as possible, because it will restrict movement of your monsters and heroes. As a general rule of thumb here, you can only print this much amount of wall pieces for a board this big, so it can only, you know, fills up the first 2 rows of your board. Oops, sorry. So basically it will be, yeah, this much. This is the maximum amount of walls that you can use, whoever plays the dungeon master here, to build your dungeon. So now whoever plays the dungeon master will set up the dungeon by placing the walls as he wants. Yeah, I think you can choose. I mean, there is so many ways to randomize it, but as a dungeon master, you also want to build it yourself to whatever design you have in your head. Maybe it's something like this, a dungeon that is full of dead ends and turns. Normally I will use the smaller piece to block a path to make sure that, you know, to make it a bit more hard maybe for the heroes to move from one side to another. Maybe it's something like this to create a small so I'm quite happy with this dungeon layout here. The dungeon master then needs to place the entrance gate and monster portal onto the board. These are these two pieces right here. This is the entrance gate, that looks like a gate, and this is the monster portal. The monster portal can only be placed in the first row, which is row number 1. So maybe in this case it's here. Maybe let's put it somewhere else. Maybe here it's better. And the entrance gate, this one, can only be placed in the last row, which is row 12 right here. Basically all it does here is really to make sure that the hero and the monsters will each take sides of the dungeon. Now that we have all the dungeons set up, we have the monster portal and the entrance gate also placed in the dungeon. Last thing the dungeon master wants to do is to place all the items that you want to play in this game in the dungeon. There's many ways you can do it. You can place it however you think it might fit with your story or however you want to be, or you can also randomize it somehow, maybe just like by, let's say, dropping it from mid-air and see where it lands, maybe would be the place. Yeah, so there is so many ways to use it. I myself would normally to do a mix of both, so I place it just as like a general idea where should I position it, and because I play quite a lot of dungeon crawling, I think it would be cool if we place some of the items in the dead corner, so it's quite hard to reach. So yeah, maybe something like this will work nicely. Maybe I will swap here. Something like this, maybe. Oh, by the way, I will also tell you what each item piece actually means, which its effect. It's also actually written here. So basically, the red one here with a heart shape, it's a health potion. It will give you +2 HP for your heroes. The blue one right here, it's called water flask, and it gives your hero +1 speed. It means that your hero can walk 1 extra tile per turn. And then this orange reddish item right here, it's called radiant droplet, and it gives +1 HP and +1 speed to your hero. Cool, yeah, so I think the dungeon is set up and ready. And yeah, and that's also like all the dungeon master needs to do for the games for the game setup. Now, before we play the game, the hero player has also something to do in the setup phase. All he needs to do is like to put the weapon wherever he wants, or again, you can also just like drop it randomly to make, oops, sorry, it's out of bounds. Maybe, yeah, something like this. Right, now we're almost done with the game setup. Last thing we want to do is we put the hero on any tiles adjacent to the entrance gate. So this 4 tiles right here, you can place it, the hero, whoever plays a hero can place it wherever he wants. Maybe it's here for me. And then the hero starts the game with 2 HP. Yeah, you can use the tracker to signify your health point here, 2 HP. And 0 additional as speed, so you don't need to use the slider right for now. We also shouldn't forget to place the monsters, same with the heroes. Monsters needs to also be placed at the beginning of the game on the tiles adjacent to the monster portal, something like this. Cool, we have everything on place and the game is ready to go. Since this is a turn-based dungeon crawling game, basically each player takes turn and then do some actions during their respective turn. Since here the hero will always start first, so we're gonna start with the hero. In hero's turn, all you need to do is you roll a 1d4 and it will determine how many tiles can the hero traverse in this turn. The other thing that you need to keep in mind is the hero cannot walk diagonally. So in the hero's turns, you roll a 1d4. So it says 1, and because you don't have any additional speed yet, because your hero haven't retrieved any item, then you can only walk 1 tile for this turn. And then because you don't have anything actionable yet, then now it's the Dungeon Master turn. Okay, so in the Dungeon Master turn, you also throw a 1d4 to control the movement and behaviors of all your monsters. It's quite similar to how you throw it to determine how far can the monster go, but because you have more than one monster to control, you need to share the amount of number from the dice for all the monsters in the game. What it means is basically you throw 1d4 and say you get 4, then it means then you need to use this 4 to share it with your monsters. You can also only move one monster this turn, all 4 tiles, or you can also share the numbers evenly to 3 different monsters. So as an example, for now, since I have quite a high number, I will use it evenly to 2 of my monsters. So the first one here that is a bit stuck at the back, we'll move 1, 2, 3, maybe just 2, and then I will use the other 2, 1 for this monster right here to move just 1 tile, oops, to the front, and I will use it to move this other tile to also to the front. So yeah, I use up all 4, but spread evenly to 3 different monsters. This Dungeon Master's turn is done, and then go back to hero's turns, and yeah, we will throw the dice again. Now we have 2, then the hero can walk 2 tiles now. So 1, 2. It gets nearer to his weapon. And now it's the Dungeon Master's turn again. Now you only have 1. So yeah, you can choose which monster you want to move right now. I will move monster right here. Cool. Alright, now it's a bit more interesting for the hero's turn. I'll throw. Okay, I got 3 now. So in these turns, I'm also going to explain how can you retrieve an item or a weapon. Basically, to retrieve an item or weapon, you just need to walk over the tiles that contains the items, the intended items or weapons that you want to retrieve or occupy the piece. So if you have 3, so say if you have only 1, if you only roll 1 for now, and you can walk 1 tile, occupy the monster, the sword, and then that way you retrieve the sword. But if you have 3, you can also walk like 1, 2, 3 to retrieve the sword and move somewhere else. The way I'm gonna use it, this 3 movement is basically I want to get the weapon and go towards that direction, so I can also get this item right here. I'm gonna move 1 here, retrieve the sword, and after you retrieve an item or a sword, you place it in your hero's inventory box right here. As you can see, there are only 2 holes. It means that the hero can only bring 2 items, including weapon, at the same time. So if you already retrieve your weapon, you can only carry 1 item per turn. Okay, so I already walk 1 tile, and then I will walk another 2 like this, so that I get closer to the item that I want. And yeah, that is the hero's turn. In this Dungeon Master turn, I'm gonna show you what can you do with your monsters to steal the items from the dungeon. Since I have 4, I'm gonna move 2 tiles to take this item right here. Where does the item go? The items will then go to any adjacent space from a monster portal, making it harder for the heroes to retrieve it. What would happen if there is no more tiles adjacent to the hero portal? It means like what happened if like all the monsters manage to steal all the items on dungeons, then just like start filling up the next empty adjacent tiles from the monster portal. Okay, so I walk 2 tiles for these monsters. I'm also gonna start walking 2 tiles for these monsters to attempt to steal another item right there. 1, 2. And I will leave that monster right there. Maybe he will stick there to just guard all the stolen items. Cool, yeah. So in this turn, we also learn how you as a dungeon master can obstruct your hero from becoming too powerful by using items. And that's all the dungeon master's turn. And then now we are going back to hero's turn. Gonna throw a dice. I get another 4, which is great. So you as a hero, you want to retrieve an item just like what we covered from the previous turn. All you need to do is just walk 1, 2 here to retrieve an item, and then you can walk another, you can use up or you can stay, whatever you want. So maybe I will use another 2 because I want to retrieve another item right here before the monsters manage to steal it from me. So I walk 2 tiles already. I'm gonna walk another 2, 1, 2, this. And again, after you receive your item, place it here in the inventory slot. Also in your turn, in your hero's turn, what you can also do is either at the beginning of the turn or at the end of the turn, you also have a chance to use an item from your inventory slot and apply the effect. To do that, it's pretty simple. You just like remove it from here and apply the effect to your hero. So in this case, because this is a radiant droplet, radiant droplet will gives you +1 HP and +1 speed to your hero. So instead of 2, now your hero will have 3 health points, making it harder to kill. And then what it also means is like now you can use this tracker showing that 1 here means that your hero has +1 speed. It means whatever dice you throw at the beginning of your turn, add 1 to give extra tiles that the hero can traverse. Also here in the tracker you see that the number goes up only until 4. What it means is like maximum health point and speed that the hero can have per game is only 4. Regardless if you keep adding items, using items, the health point and the speed will not go over 4, just to make the game a bit more balanced. Well, yeah, that's how we can use item in this game. I think we covered already like some of the game mechanics, and now I'm gonna cover the last mechanics that is also quite important, which is the battle mechanics. So at the beginning of your turn, you roll the d4 dice. Say you get a 4 here, it means that just like retrieving an item or a weapon, you just need to walk over or occupy the tiles where the intended monster, where the monster you want to attack is sitting. So let's say I get 4 and you want to attack this monster, so all you need to do is just like walk your hero toward that, 2, 3, and then yeah, that way you manage to attack and slay the monster. Do not forget that we have 1 extra speed right here because we used the item. So we actually, instead of 1 more tiles, we have 2. You can decide whether you want to stay here or you want to continue moving, I don't know, maybe towards another monster so that you can attack it in your next turn. 1, 2. Cool, yeah, so that's how you can attack monsters using your hero. Important thing, you need to have, you need to already retrieve your weapon, and before that you cannot attack monsters. Now, as a dungeon masters, how can your monsters attack the opposing hero player? To do that, it's the same mechanic, same thing to do. Monster that you want to attack just need to move over or occupy the tiles where the hero is standing. Unlike the heroes, monster doesn't need to retrieve any weapon or item to attack, so it means that monsters can already attack right from the beginning of the game. So at the beginning of the dungeon master turns, just throw a dice, you get a 2, maybe I will use this monster right here to move 2 tiles towards the hero to attack him. Doing so is just by like moving 1, 2. And then after that, your hero needs to move back to any adjacent tiles from your entrance gate. So yeah, the hero can choose where do you want to place your hero to start over. Maybe this, maybe here. And yeah, don't forget to move the tracker to show that now you have 1 HP less. So yeah, that's how attack works for both heroes and monsters. Just continue playing until, you know, either one of the player meet the winning condition for a hero by slaying all the monsters or destroying a portal, or when the hero monsters manage to slay the hero by depleting his HP to 0. It means that the monsters keep attacking the heroes and sending him back to the entrance gate until he has no HP left. That's how we can play Pocket Dungeon Rush. It's meant to be played briefly and simple and straightforward, and you can always swap roles with your friends. Maybe this time you play as a hero and the next round you'll play as a dungeon master. And yeah, you can always rearrange all the dungeon walls and the items for new experiences. Also, in addition to the base game right here, I will also be releasing an expansion pack that will include even more monsters and heroes for players to encounter in the dungeon. So not only this FL blob right here, I also have like different monsters, like something like this Minotaur, Goblin, even bigger Goblin with a club, And what's really cool is each of them will be accompanied by a card, like a 3D printed card that represents their HP and all their stats. So for Minotaur here, this is the card. And on top of that, I'm also writing currently another game rule for a solo play that will use a series of numbered D4 dice to determine all the encounters, so that not only you can play it with your friends, but you can also play Pocket Dungeon by yourself on the go. Stay tuned for more information on the expansion pack, and please go to the link below if you're interested in Pocket Dungeon, and any feedbacks and questions are welcome to improve Pocket Dungeon further in the future. Have fun!